Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be unboxing the Sylvaneth Warcry Warband. I was really happy when this set was released in December 2020 and was really excited to get hold of it. I thought the Sylvaneth would make an awesome warband for Warcry, and after looking on the Games Workshop website, the models look so good. So I'm really excited to get this open and see what we get inside. We're going to get 12 of the fighter type cards, our ability cards and tokens, and then altogether we're going to get 8 plastic miniatures. In this video I'm going to go through all the contents of the box, and we'll go through all the fighter types one card at a time and check out all their abilities and see what kind of tactics the Sylvaneth are going to bring to the table. I'll also take a look at the Sentinels of Order Warcry book, and we can see some of the updated rules, some of their extra abilities, and even some extra fighter types that we can bring in. And here we go, looking at the box, you can see these Warcry boxes are getting a lot bigger now. You can compare it to one of the original Warcry Warbands, the Scythe Lords that came out almost when the new game was released. You can see just how big it's getting. It's like double the size. So we're getting a lot more sprues, some bigger models, and certainly I'm noticing a lot more cards in these newer ones too. Alright, let's open them up and see what's inside. And just like all these boxes, it's nice to see the Warband rune mark on this tab here. Let's get rid of that. And there we are, and this is our rune mark for the Sylvaneth, which is nice. Let's zoom in. There we go. So that's cool. And we don't get the tray that we would get with the older models like the Scythe Lords, but we just get tons more sprues packed in there, and you can see already got 5 sprues and a pack of other good stuff. Oh, some loose ones. So that's the box. Let's get rid of that. And we've got 3 large bases. And then we've got a pack of the smaller ones. All together, we've got 5 sprues. And our pack full of cards, fighter type cards, abilities, tokens, and our instruction book. Let's take a look at our sprues first. And this looks like this is going to be the Tree Revenants and the Spite Revenants. And you've got an option to build either of those. And you can make 5 models altogether. So you can choose how many you'd like to make. So you can either have them all as Tree Revenants or some as the Shade Stalkers. So you've got lots of options. And there we go. You can see these are going to be quite big, these models here. That's the body there. So I really can't wait to see how big the Kernel Hunters are going to be. But this is great. And some really good weapons here. Those are really nice. I really like these a lot. And this is certainly a great contrast to some of the other warbands, the Chaos ones certainly. Yesterday I unboxed the Unmade, and their weapons are completely different to this, so it's going to be really fun to play them against each other. So there's one there, and here's the second one for the Tree Revenants, Spite Revenants and Shade Stalker. And you can see you've got lots of flexibility how you build these with the torsos and the arms, so that's really good. That's one thing that I think is missing with the older ones like the Scythe Lords and the Unmade. There really are, what you see on the box is almost what you're going to get with not much variety. But with these, making use of the Age of Sigmar existing sprue sets, you really get that option of customizing and positioning the figures how you want them to look. So there we go, that's the first 2 sprues. Okay, and now we've got another 3 sprues, and each one of these is for one of the Kernel Hunters or the Huntmaster. And this is really great. There's going to be so much here. So much variety to customize. We've got the bodies, the arms. You can see these are going to be quite big, but you really have to assemble them each limb at a time, and that's really cool because then we can really personalize it and make them as we want them to look. And there's the head, which looks awesome. That looks so good. And these are going to be great to paint because I think they're going to be quite quick. The contrast paint is going to work really well on the bark and the kind of fleshy tones. And then with that nice blue that you can see on the artwork, the bluey green, we can really get that working well. I love these weapons too. These swords are really nice. There we go. And we got so this little bug here, a little insect. So loads of extra features. That's really good. And that's our first sprue. And then I thought at first these were maybe exactly the same, but they're slightly different. So we are going to get 3 separate looking miniatures here. Nice headpiece there. Just looking for the face. There we go. There's the other head. So you can see they're going to be very different. The weapons are similar, almost the same here. The sword and this side weapon. And this one's got the nice bow. And then the third one. Again, the weapons are the same. But let's try and find the face. Here we go. So we get nice variety in those faces and heads. And I think we can really add some cool characters here. This is great. I love that. It's brilliant. So that's all our sprues. Next we'll take a look at the cards. And in this pack, with these newer Warcry Warbands, you get the tokens as well. So they're not included in like the Cypher Lords and the Unmade, the Iron Golem, those sets. But here you can see we get 2 cards of tokens, and this is for your objective markers as well. And these are the numbers to record your damage taken and things like that. And these are colour coordinated for the different orders. So this is for the Sentinel of Order. So that's really good. And although these are included in the Catacombs set and probably the original starter set, it's nice to have the colour coordinated ones for the warbands. I really like that. And this is our book. We're going to get 12 fighter type cards, and we're going to get the 2 duplicate cards, and these are important if you want to use 2 of the same player but you've only got 1 fighter type card, so you can use these duplicates to track all the characters of that fighter type. And then we get all our ability cards, and these come in all the different languages, but we only need English, so we'll get rid of those for the rest of the video. And then let's take a look at the book. And we're getting to see some nice paint schemes there from these models, and you can see these are one of the options of building these 5, but you can also change them to make the Spite Revenants and the Shadow Stalker. So we've got some options there, and we're certainly going to see lots of variety, I imagine, for how we can put these miniatures together, especially those Huntmaster and Kernel Off Hunters. And here we go. So here's the Tree Revenants, Spite Revenants, the Kernel Off Hunters. And they look quite complicated on the sprue, but seeing the instructions here, it looks relatively simple to put together. So I don't think that's going to take long at all. But there's lots of like cool shapes going on. So these are going to be great fun to paint. I mean, look at that. You've got 6 different arms there to choose from, which is really good. And here we've got an option of putting this banner. I probably wouldn't use that, but again, we'll see if that's included in one of the fighter types. I don't think it's going to be. So you can get some real nice variety in here. Same with the Spite Revenants. Look at all the options there for those arms. Really cool. And I think it's going to be nice to have a mix of Tree Revenants and Spite Revenants, depending on how you want to play. And here we go. Here's our Huntmaster with the Great Bow, with the Great Sword, and with the Scythe. And they just look awesome, don't they? They're so good. I can't wait to see how big they are once they're built. And then we get so much variety to put little bits on to add features. And these are also going to be left and good to use for terrain and objective markers and things like that. And then we can make them here again, make some more varieties so you can see the different positions of them. Really great. So lots to choose from there and lots to decide before you build it. No paint guide, which you don't get in every set. But I think these are pretty easy to figure out. I think just looking at the artwork, it's only a few colours involved. So with the contrast paints I've got, these are going to be no problem. And I'm really looking forward to painting those. That's our book anyway, with all the instructions. Next we'll go through all the fighter type cards, and we'll start with the lowest point one and work our way up to the highest. And then I'll also go through the Sylvaneth abilities as we go through each of the fighter types. Okay, and here's our first card, and starting at 50 points, this is going to be our Tree Revenant. And I didn't expect these to be so low at 50 points, but here we go. They got movement of 4, can take 8 damage with a toughness 3. They've got their Warband rune mark there for the abilities, and also another ability here. So at 50 points we're getting that extra ability, which is really good. And with the sword we've got a range of 1, can make 3 attacks, strength 3, 1 to 3 on a crit. So as you would expect from a low 50-60 point fighter. But let's see what the abilities are. And here we go. So every fighter with the Warband rune mark is going to get this ability, the double, called Draw from the Spirit Song. Remove a number of damage points allocated to this fighter equal to half the value of this ability, rounding up. So that's really cool, nice and simple. If you're getting high 5s, 6s, you can, for your double, you can remove damage points equal to half the value of that. So you can get some of those damage points quite quickly, and I guess that's to signify the kind of tree regrowing, the roots kind of coming out and rebuilding any wounds or damaged parts. So that's great narrative ability there, that's really good. And then we've got one other ability here, which is a triple, and that's called Walk the Spirit Paths. Remove this fighter from the battlefield and set them up anywhere on the battlefield floor more than 5 inches from any enemy fighters. Wow, that's really cool. I haven't seen anything like that yet with the warbands I've unboxed so far. So that's really cool. On a triple, you take the fighter out of the battlefield and set them up anywhere on the battlefield floor as long as they're more than 5 inches from enemy fighters. So they can literally just disappear and move out of the fray, and that's really cool. And then maybe heal themselves and go back at it on the next turn. So that's a really interesting ability, and I think that's going to play out really well against some of the other warbands. So I can't wait to play that. But that's our first card, our Duel Revenant at 50 points. Next we've got our Dryad, and this is coming in at 70 points, and this Dryad isn't included in the Sylvaneth Warcry Warband, so you would have to pick this up separately as a separate pack. But they've got a movement of 5, can take 10 damage with a toughness 3. They've got a different ability here, along with the one that all the members of the warband have. And with their attack, their kind of claws there, they've got a range of 1, can make 4 attacks with a strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So for 70 points, these are tough. With they can take 10 damage, they've got a decent amount of movement, and they can make 4 attacks. That's really good. So let's check out this ability though and see how that helps them. So like all the others, they've got the Draw from the Spirit Song, but now they've got this extra ability, which is a triple, and it's called Enrapturing Song. Pick a visible enemy fighter within a number of inches of this fighter equal to the value of this ability. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of attack actions made by friendly fighters with both the Sylvaneth rune mark and the Scout rune mark that target that fighter. Okay, so that's quite a lot to take in there, but basically as long as they can see an enemy fighter within the number of inches equal to this ability, the roll on the dice there for this ability, they can add 1 to attack characteristics of attack actions made by any friendly fighter that have got these 2 rune marks. So working together, these Dryads can all be improved by just 1 of them. So as long as they can see, they can give an extra 1 attack to all the other Dryads or anyone with that Scout rune mark working with them. So that's quite a lot. I mean, if you've got 3 Dryads working together, they could already make 4 attacks. They get that extra 1. You can go at an enemy with all 3 of them. Do you have 15 goes at it? So that's crazy. So that's really good. And that's a triple. They're called Enrapturing Song. And that's for our second card, the fighter type Dryad. Now we're again at 70 points. We're on to our Spite Revenant. And I haven't seen this colour scheme before, but that looks really good. That dark blue. I think I prefer the more paler blue though, for sure. But at 70 points, this one's got a movement of 4, can take 8 damage with a toughness 3. They're attacking with a range of 1. Again, 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And they've got this different ability as well. So I'm really liking the different abilities available for these low numbers in this warband. Okay, let's see what that ability is. So we get the double, Draw from the Spirit Song, and now we've got another double called Shrieking Terror. Pick a visible enemy fighter with a number of inches of this fighter equal to the value of this ability and roll a dice. On a 3+, until the end of the battle round, that fighter cannot make move actions or disengage actions. Okay, so the idea here, this Shrieking Terror freezes the enemy, and so they can't move away or disengage, and he's going to hold them in the fight. So that's a good ability to use. And on just a double, if you can pin someone down and then bring your heavier fighters, perhaps the Huntmaster, in later on, that's going to be pretty useful. So that's great. Another low point fighter with some great abilities, and that's our Duel Revenant. Now we're moving up to our Scion, and this miniature can be made from the contents of the Warcry Sylvaneth Warband pack, so that's really good, as can that previous Duel Revenant. So this is good. So you've got a couple of varieties here, from the low 50 points to the 120 for this particular model. And this one, for the extra points, you're going to get a movement 4. You're going to be able to take 16 damage with a toughness 3. You've got 3 abilities altogether, and the attack here is a range of 1 with 4 attacks, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So we get a nice amount of attacks, but they're not very strong and they're not very tough, these characters, but they do deal 2 to 4 on a crit. And I think for that points, you're really looking at using this here as your leader, because you've got the leadership rune mark. So let's see what that leadership ability is. And we already know he's got the double draw from the spirit song and also the triple walk the spirit paths. But now as the leader, he's also got this one here on a quad, Envoy of the Everqueen. Until the end of the battle round, add half the value of this ability, rounding up, to the toughness and strength characteristics of friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. Okay, so that's good. So we can really improve on these abilities here and increase the toughness and strength, which was lacking. I don't know if that includes themselves though. Can they include that on their own statistics? If you know, please let me know in the comments below. It'd be great to clarify that. But otherwise, for a quad, it's not a huge ability, but I think if you've got some members here who aren't that tough or strong, then that's going to come in really useful. Next, we've got our Shade Stalker, and again, this is going to be made from the same sprue that you can make the Tree Revenants, the Scion, or the Spite Revenants from. So this is a good way to get like an extra stronger player at 140 points. And this Shade Stalker is going to get a movement of 4, can take 16 damage with a toughness 3. He's got that leadership ability and 2 others. And his attack, he's got a range of 1, can make 5 attacks with a strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So that's really good. Having those 5 attacks is nice. Dealing 2 to 4 as well. We like that. And let's just check those abilities real quick. So we've got Draw from the Spirit Song on a double. We've got that Shriek in Terror, which is really good on a double. And then the leadership ability, which is on a quad, Envoy of the Everqueen. So you're getting a fair bit with this guy here, and the extra attack's really useful. For 140 points, that's not bad. Now we're moving up to our Branch Nymph. I wonder if you can make this from the Dryad set that you can buy. I'm not sure. Again, if you know, please let me know in the comments below. And so this one's 145 points, and we get a movement of 5, can take 20 damage with a toughness 3. We've got 3 abilities, including the leadership ability here. And attack wise, we've got a range of 1, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And let's look at the abilities. We've got the double draw from the Spirit Song, the leadership quad, Envoy the Everqueen, and then we've got that enrapturing song on a triple. So that's our leader, the Branch Nymph, and this would be a leader of the Dryads, I suppose. Now we're starting to move up to these really awesome, bigger models, and this one is our Kernel Hunter with Kernel Greatsword, and he's 180 points with a movement of 4, can take 30 damage with a toughness 4. He's got a rune mark that we haven't seen yet, so that's really good. And his attack with his sword is a range of 1. He can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So this is all starting to creep up now. We can deal a bit more damage, and we can certainly take a lot more at 30. Let's look at that new ability. So we've got the double draw from the Spirit Song already, and now with this rune mark, it's double, called Trample Underfoot. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of this fighter and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability. For each 4+, allocate 1 damage point to that fighter. Okay, so this is cool. You have to get up close to use it within 1 inch of this fighter, so you've almost got to be engaged already, and then roll a number of dice equal to the value of the ability. So if you're rolling 5s or 6s here, you can have a lot more chances at getting this 4+ damage done and that's really good. So on a 4+, for every 4+, you can allocate 1 damage point. So that could be pretty strong for a double as well. That's really nice, and certainly you want to get these up close anyway to use the weapon, so that's just going to be a bonus and could be quite devastating too. So I really like that. I love these models already, and this is our first Kernel Hunter there with the great sword. Now we're on to our Kernel Hunter with Kernel Scythe, and this guy's got 190 points, so it'd be good to see what we get for that extra 10 points there. He's got a movement of 4, can take 30 damage with a toughness 4. He's got the same abilities, but here we've got a range of 2. We can make 3 attacks with a strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So we've got a bit of extra range, 1 less attack, but we're certainly dealing more damage here with this guy, and that could be really useful. I think that's worth the extra 10 points for sure to get that extra bit of damage there. And abilities for this one is the double draw from the Spirit Song, and then the same as the previous, another double called Trample Underfoot. And our third Kernel Hunter comes with the Kernel Great Bow, and at 200 points we get the same movement of 4, can take 30 damage with a toughness 4, got the same abilities there, but the difference being we've got this cool ranged weapon which looks great, and that's a minimum of 3, maximum of 20 range. Can make 2 attacks with a strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit, and then if he gets up close he can also punch him, so he's got a range of 1, dealing 3 attacks, strength 3, 1 to 3 on a crit. So this one you definitely want to leave kind of back doing the ranged attacks, and with the abilities of the draw from the Spirit Song and the Trample Underfoot here, I don't know if you're going to be using that one a lot with this particular model, so that's almost a bit wasted. So maybe this is a bit high for what you get here. I don't know, we'd have to play it and see, but he could certainly take a couple of shots from range and then move in closer. But this is our third Kernel Hunter, and this one's with the Great Bow. So all those Kernel Hunters we've just seen are all included in this Warcry Sylvaneth Warband, but you can also make them into Huntmasters, and that's really cool. So let's look at the last 3 cards here, which are all going to be Huntmaster variants. And here's our first one, and this is the Huntmaster with the Kernel Great Sword. And we're going up in points now, so this has almost got 50 points more than the Kernel Hunter with the sword. So for that extra points we get movement 4, can take 35 damage with a toughness 4. We've got 3 abilities instead of 2. With the weapon we've got a range of 1 with making 5 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So we're already can take a bit more damage, and we can certainly deal it out as well, which is good. And let's confirm the abilities, which are the double draw from the Spirit Song, double trample underfoot, and as a leader he's also got the quad envoy of the Ever Queen. Next we've got our Huntmaster with Scythe, and he's got a movement 4, can take 35 damage with a toughness 4. He's got the same abilities. Again, he's got the range, so he's got a range of 2, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 3 to 6 on a crit. So you're paying to be able to give a bit more and also take it, but also to get those abilities, the same 3 that we've seen on the previous Huntmaster. And finally, this is our highest points fighter, and my favourite looking miniature out of this whole warband for sure. It just looks so great, and for 240 points it's going to come with a movement of 4, can take 35 damage with a toughness 4, and as a Huntmaster with the bow he's got the 3 abilities there, and he's got a range of 3 to 20, so minimum 3, maximum 20, can make 3 attacks now, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So that's really good for a ranged weapon. And then if he needs to get up close, he can still do it with a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So again, you need to make most of this ranged weapon for sure. And his abilities, as a leader, he's going to get that quad envoy of the Ever Queen on a double, trample underfoot, and another double, draw from the Spirit Song. And that's our final card, and that's our Kernel Huntmaster with Kernel Great Bow. Now we've seen everything that you get in the Warcry Sylvaneth box set, I thought it'd be cool to take a look at the Sentinels of Order Warcry book, and this is the new one that's came out in December 2020, and this is going to give us some updated abilities, for our leaders and for our fighters. It also gives us a little bit of background on the Sylvaneth, but I think if you play Age of Sigmar already, you're probably well familiar with these. And then it gives us some more fighter types that we don't get in the box set. So it comes with 12 cards, the box set, and we're getting 15 here. So there's 3 extra ones, and that's going to include the Branch Wraith, the Arch Revenant up here, and the Branch Witch there. So these are some more options, and they look similar to the Dryads. Again, I don't know if you can make this from the Dryad box, but this one, this miniature is awesome. I've seen this on the Games Workshop website. I'd love to get it. So there we go, you've got some extra ones. So that's really worth picking up. And it gives you a lot. But as well as getting that, you're going to get all the other warbands with all their fighter type cards too. And this Stormcast Eternal one is crazy. You get so many fighter types. So if you want to play Stormcast Eternals, I think this book is well worth getting. So there we go. That's the Sentinels of Order, and that's going to give you more options for the Warcry Sylvaneth. So that's everything from the Warcry Sylvaneth box set. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and how you think the Sylvaneth are going to play in Warcry, and how you think they'll fare against some of the other warbands, especially the Chaos ones. I think these guys seem pretty tough, and I think some of the original Warcry warbands like Cypher Lords and certainly the Iron Golem, they may struggle against these. But yeah, if you've got any experience of playing with them, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll put a link in the description if you want to pick this up, and I'll put the link to Element Games. It'll be an affiliate link, but it won't cost you anything extra. In fact, it's going to save you 20% on the RRP, and with every sale made through the affiliate link, I'll get a small commission, and that's going to help me develop the channel and produce much more content. And thanks so much for that support. This is the most expensive Warcry Warband so far at £45, but with the discount at Element Games, at the moment that's retailing for $38.25, so you do save a fair bit there. And I think for what you get in the pack, it's definitely worth it. I mean, if you were to break these two sets down into the Kernel Off Hunters and the Tree Revenants, you're going to save a lot of money, and you get the bonus of the cards and the tokens too. So these Kernel Hunters are like £35, and these Tree Revenants are £27.50. So for what, £62.50 if you just bought those on their own. So even at the full RRP of £45, you're saving a good chunk of money, but you get all these extra goodies. So I think it's definitely great value. Perhaps one of the better value ones if you compare it to the others. Maybe the Skaven came out pretty good, but I think this is really good value. So although it seems to be the most expensive, you do get a lot in there for your money. Okay, I'm going to get busy building these up, and I'll do a separate video so you can see them all built, and once I've played a few games of them, you can see kind of how they play and the tactics and how their abilities play out on the battlefield. I'll also do some videos on how I paint them as well, so if you want to follow along with some simple contrast paint guides, then they'll be coming out really soon. I hope this video is helpful to you and has given you an idea of what you get in the box, and also in the Sentinels of Order Warcry book, and how you can use both of those to perhaps make use of a Age of Sigmar Sylvaneth army you already have. Thanks so much for watching the video, and please like if you like it, subscribe for more content like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games.